This is Seahawks Today. I am your humble host, Will Ortner, and we've got so much Seattle Seahawks news as all 32 NFL teams, or I should say most of the 32 NFL teams, are at the NFL Combine. When I say most, of course, I'm talking about those lazy people down in Jacksonville. Their GM and head coach are not there, but our GM and our head coach are down in Indianapolis. They're looking at some of the players that are going out right now and competing in the Combine, while also looking at some potential free agent additions and some potential trade targets. When I look at the Combine, I view it as the unofficial start of the season. Now, obviously, the NFL, they have their start of the season date, but to me, with everything that's moving, you get players and agents talking to different teams, GMs talking to different GMs, coaches talking to different coaches, and you start to get kind of the groundwork for some of the big moves that get made in free agency and the big trades. So to me, the Combine is officially the start, and we're going to dive into the major storylines from day one, essentially, down at Indy that are going to affect the Seattle Seahawks. Before we do that, though, make sure you hit that sub button. We are rapidly closing in on our Knicks Now channel. Now, they are starting to take off because the NBA playoffs are starting to get close to being underway. So make sure that you hit that sub button. Let's pass the Knicks before the NBA playoffs gets started. The first major storyline that I want to talk about on today's show is the wide receiver plan for the Seattle Seahawks, because we all know that Rashid Shaheed is going to be a free agent this offseason. And now the Seahawks obviously want to bring him back after all of the trade capital that they had to give up to get Shaheed. But I think a lot of Seahawk fans and just NFL fans in general kind of forget the timeline around when the Seahawks made the trade for Shaheed. I think there's a belief that everyone kind of forgets or has kind of created as their new memory now that the Seahawks traded for Shaheed because Torrey Horton got hurt. And that couldn't be further from the fact. The facts are that the Seahawks made the trade for Shaheed to try and pair him up with Horton, and then unfortunately Horton got hurt before they could actually do any damage together. So Shaheed isn't a replacement of Horton. There is a world where Shaheed and Horton can work together. If you don't believe me, just listen to John Schneider say that.
Behind the scenes with Torrey, incredible person, competitor. He was really starting to take off. You know, when we made that trade with New Orleans, we were expecting the two of them to be take the top off receivers, and unfortunately, he had a shin issue that just kept lingering, and then we had to place him on IR, but we were literally hoping to get him back at some point. We just weren't able to. We weren't able to pull the trigger. But what a great guy! He's like fun to be around. Culture. He's a culture guy for sure. A lot of fun. T-Bone. Call him T-Bone is his nickname.
Before we continue on with the rest of today's video, here's what I've been trading on over at Poly Market. During Seattle's playoff run, Poly Market had Seattle as a 75% chance to get a win over San Francisco. I thought that the value here was sneaky good. Seattle had just beaten San Francisco, and Seattle seemed like the hot team during that postseason run. So for those reasons, I came in and I took Seattle at 75% chance to win this game. $100 wins you $33 if Seattle took the dub. Plus, with Poly Market, you can trade in and out of momentum shifts without getting blocked or penalized. With in-game trading, once the Seahawks got up, I could either ride it all the way out or I could sell early. For example, if you buy at 75% and then you sell at just 90%, you can snag yourself a cool $20 payout, which is awesome, obviously. You can't do this with traditional sportsbooks, so get started today. Poly Market is legal in all 50 states. Download the app now and get to the top of the waiting list. The only way to do that is by clicking my link in the description and comments. It's unfortunate for the Seattle Seahawks that Horton and Rashid Shaheed never ended up actually playing together, because I do think that you would have seen a bit more explosiveness from both players, because when Torrey Horton was healthy, it was very clear that he was a feast or famine type of a guy. He had a lot of touchdowns for how many receptions he has. The problem is that the receptions were not as high as you would previously like them. When we look at Rashid Shaheed and his stat line with the Seattle Seahawks, obviously the targets are not as high as you may have hoped for a guy that you made a big trade for in the middle of the year. And the yardage and the average is kind of telling the same story. To me, that's because teams were able to put their too-high safety look and really specifically place one safety over Shaheed, so he didn't get a ton of opportunities to try and burn people deep, just like Horton didn't get a ton of opportunities to try and burn people deep. And I think that affected what this offense could be on a whole. I think that there is a world where you can have Horton and Shaheed with the ability to get open deep in this offense, and that's going to open things up for JSN down below. In my personal opinion, this shows me that the Seahawks have a game plan to try and get a deal done with Shaheed, and Shaheed has made it clear that he wants to stay in Seattle, and we've touched on that on a couple of other videos. So to me, get the deal done right now. Find a way to get Shaheed re-signed to stay in Seattle. He's going to add into your special teams, but more importantly, I do think that there is a level that he has not unlocked yet, and that is because of the way that the Seahawks had to use him. The next major storyline that I want to talk about in today's video is the free agent class right now in that running back position. Obviously, yesterday we went into great detail on what was said at the Combine and how that was going to affect the Seattle Seahawks and specifically affect Kenneth Walker. For those of you who've been living under a rock, the New York Jets, they intend to keep Breece Hall, whether that is getting an extension done or a new deal done, or going out and placing the franchise tag on him. They can franchise tag Hall or transition tag Hall. Both seem to be on the table when you listen to what the Jets GM had to say yesterday.
Yeah, the tags are an option. Ideally, we'd find a way to get a deal done and keep Breece around. I think I've said that for the last year since I've got here. Breece is a good player. Want to find a way to keep him around. We've been going through that process and are still doing so. And, we have a week to find out, if we can't get to an agreement, which way we'll go with that tag. Yeah, we'll find a way to keep Breece here if we can't get a deal done.
Do you get the sense that he wants to be here long term?
I do get the sense that Breece wants to be here. We've had good conversations throughout the season, after the season, so just finding a way to do that.
That makes it pretty clear to me that the Jets are going to find a way to make sure that they keep Hall in New York. So at this point, this is kind of what the free agent running back class looks like. Kenneth Walker, Travis Etienne, J.K. Dobbins are kind of the big headliners. But there's a couple other big-time players there when you look at the free agent running back class. Now, I do think it is important to note Kenneth Walker is going to be the belle of the ball, and he's going to be the top running back. But Seattle is going to want to find a way to keep him. With Hall making more money now, whether he gets tagged or gets an extension done, a new contract deal done, that is only going to drive up the price of Kenneth Walker because they are essentially the same guy. Is Seattle willing to pay that price?
Yeah, Super Bowl MVP, I kind of lost it at I got nervous at I was talking in front of all those people today, and Ken's like, what are you talking about? I totally made that up. I just lost it. No, we'd love to have Ken back. It's and he knows this better than anybody. It's about our 70, and our collective and what that's going to look like. And we'll have those meetings down here. We'll start, talking to all the agents and we'll have a better feel where we're going here towards the end of the week. But obviously, we'd love to have everybody. We want to have everybody back. Right when you get done with something special like that, you're like, hey, let's run it back. It's going to be an interesting process.
John Schneider did an excellent job there of kind of giving a little bit of a plan on what the Seahawks want to do with K9. Speaking of something that you're going to want to do, go grab yourself a Seattle Drinking Team shirt today. Look at how sweet this is. It'll get there just in time for St. Patrick's Day. Everyone's favorite holiday in March. You can see we've got the sweet green drinking team there. We also have the sweet blue drinking team as well. My guy Jerry B is a member of the Seattle Drinking Team. You can go pick yours up today. Only $29.99. Super affordable, very comfy. We are going to have that link in the comment section and description of today's video. So don't miss out. Go click that link and go get yourself one today. The next major storyline that we need to really talk about is that Seattle runs the West. And it's not just that the Seahawks ran the West this year, the best division in the entire National Football League. But what is most important is that the Seahawks came out and they dominated the West. And the rest of the other teams in the NFC understand that. John Schneider has gone out and created a team that is better than what anybody else can put out. It doesn't matter if you're the Rams, doesn't matter if you're the San Francisco 49ers or the Arizona Cardinals, and Mike Macdonald has continued to build upon that. John Lynch was at a press conference for the NFL Combine, and he talked about how they were trying to chase down the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle has now become the hunted, and that's beautiful because the rest of the division wants to beat us so bad. They want to find a way to beat us so badly. But we're designed in a completely different way than the rest of these teams. The Seahawks are designed in a way that they can come out and meet strength on strength. When we look at the Arizona Cardinals, they have no strength, so it doesn't matter. Seahawks are going to dominate. When we look at the Rams, their strength is their offense, and Seattle can go toe-to-toe with them. And what Sam Darnold did a great job of showing was how good he can be in those moments because you need the offense to pick it up a little bit. When you look at the San Francisco 49ers, they do not have the offensive firepower to meet the Seattle Seahawks defensive firepower. Everyone wants to beat the king, and that's what we have become. We are the crowning jewel of this division. We're the crowning jewel of the National Football League. Now, the beauty is that our king, Mike Macdonald, is not someone who is going to rest on his laurels. The Seahawks just won a Super Bowl. He is going to speak at the NFL Combine later today, which we will have a video out on that for you as well, and a video after doing some key takeaways. So when I look at this team, Seattle isn't just built to win right now. They are built to win for quite a long time to come. They are the type of team that is going to be able to continue to build and create a dynasty. When we were talking about this earlier, I mentioned that John Lynch knew that he had to build a team or is trying to build a team that's going to be able to catch up with the Seahawks. We were able to go and grab that audio clip. Great job, producer Searle. And you can listen to him talk about that right now.
Yeah, but wouldn't we all? I think everybody's looking for that. That's a really good combination. Seattle's really good football team right now, as evidenced by what they did this season, but especially late in the season. Our division's really tough. We aren't shying away from that. It's tough in part because of who we are, but it's tough because it's a quality division. So we understand, but we tend to focus on ourselves, and we're trying to make ourselves better in all areas.
Do you agree with John Lynch? Does the West run through Seattle? He made it pretty clear there. Look, you have to look through some of the GM speak, the coach speak. Oh, we're just trying to build ourselves better. He knows that he's trying to catch the Seattle Seahawks. Is he going to be able to? I don't think so. Let me know down below in the comment section if you think Seattle runs the West, yes or no. I better see a hell lot of yeses. Next, we're going to look at the Trent Williams saga in San Francisco because I just enjoy when our division rivals aren't having things go their way. Now, you might be asking yourself, what could be going wrong with Trent Williams? Is he about to retire? Is he about to be done with the National Football League? Well, not quite yet. ESPN's Adam Schefter had this tweet. Essentially, Trent Williams is scheduled to have a $39 million cap hit, which is a gigantic number, and the 49ers want to find a contractual solution so that way they can go out and get some bigger name players. Specifically, when you look at that wide receiver position, Brandon Ayuk is obviously going to be gone, and there's a chance that Juwan Jennings might actually be gone as well. There's some rumors he might even end up in Seattle. Now, when you look at that wide receiver position, the 49ers aren't going to be able to build up any strength through there because, well, they don't have the money. So, of course, they want to restructure that deal with Trent Williams. Now, Trent Williams doesn't want to restructure that deal because he's old. He's getting pretty darn close to 40, and in the National Football League, there's not a lot of players, let alone offensive linemen, that get big-time contracts when they hit free agency when they're that close to 40. So are the 49ers going to be able to hold on to their left tackle? John Lynch seems to think so.
Well, what I'll tell you is that, in recent weeks, I've met with both Trent and with his agent, Vincent Taylor, and had really good, productive, and substantive meetings. And so here's what I know. Trent loves being a Niner. We love having Trent as a Niner. And it's up to us to figure that out and to thread that needle. There's some unique circumstances in that we all know what Trent is as a player, how great of a player he's been. He's going to be 38 years old, and so there's some things that go into that. But I think we're all on the same page and feel very positive about where that's going.
I think where there's smoke, there's a little bit of fire, and right now it does feel like maybe the marriage between Williams and the 49ers is not exactly where you would want it to be if you are a 49er fan, which is good news for the Seattle Seahawks because it's right where I want it to be. It would be a shame if Trent Williams ended up having to leave San Francisco. Look, I understand that he's still not as good as he was when he was in his prime. He's still one of the best offensive linemen in the National Football League. Would be a damn shame if he left San Francisco. I'd cry so many crocodile tears. Share the video on social media if you love what we're doing here on Seahawks Today. Help us grow the family. We're trying to get to 100K. We're at 85,000 right now. Trying to continue to grow. The best way to do that is by you guys helping us out and sharing the video with your friends who love the Seattle Seahawks. Last major storyline that we're going to have to dive into is the Maxx Crosby saga because it takes another turn at the Combine. Obviously, there's been a lot of rumors that Maxx Crosby is in a position where he may no longer be in Las Vegas anymore. What do I mean by this? Well, the Raiders and Crosby, they've been going kind of back and forth now for quite some time. There's been complaints on Crosby's side saying that he doesn't love everything that the Raiders are doing. He didn't love that the Raiders sat him down. Obviously, that does mean that he could potentially be a trade partner. So trade rumors have been swirling. Mostly he's been linked to the Chicago Bears, but we all know in Seattle that John Schneider has reached out multiple times to Las Vegas to try and get a Maxx Crosby deal done. That's actually how Geno Smith ended up getting traded over there. It was originally started around Maxx Crosby. Are the Seahawks going to be willing to give up enough to go and get Crosby? But more importantly, are the Raiders in a position where they actually are willing to move on from him? We're going to hear from GM John Spytek right now about where the Raiders and Crosby are at.
I am. Maxx is an elite player, and I've been very upfront from the start when I got here that, you know, we're in the business of having really good players on the team, and we need a lot more of them. And, you know, it's hard to build a great team without elite players.
What has been your communication like with Crosby in the last month or so?
Maxx and I have a great relationship. He's in the building every day, getting healthy right now. We talk on the phone, we text. So I have a great relationship with Maxx.
I'm taking a bold stance. I do think that this is going to be the year that he does get moved. Of course, Spytek is up there saying, oh, we're in a great place. We really like what we're doing. You don't go and hang out with your buddies and they ask you about how you're doing in your relationship and you say, you never go out there and just straight up say, oh, yeah, we fight all the time. She's horrible. She just makes me feel bad. I did some things that weren't great, but she just continues to beat up on me for stuff that I can't handle anymore. I need to get out of this relationship. You don't say that to a bunch of people at a dinner. You might pick one of your good close friends, a potential insider, you might say, that could potentially go out and report that you are not happy with your current relationship. Or in the case of this NFL trade rumor that we're talking about with Maxx Crosby, you would talk to a potential NFL insider that says, hey, the Raiders might be open to moving Maxx Crosby. Trying to think. Producer Searle, have there been some potential links? He's nodding his head, yes, behind the scenes. Yes, multiple insiders have said that there are trade ideas being floated around for Maxx Crosby because, well, teams are looking into it. And where there's smoke, there's fire. I think that Crosby gets moved on from. Will it end up being in Seattle? I freaking hope so. What position group will the Seahawks target in free agency? Let me know down below in the comment section. Always very interested to see what the fans think is the most important position. I think right now I would love to see Seattle target the cornerback room because I do believe that Riq Woolen will move on, and there's potential that you might lose Josh Jobe. So to me, that's two of your three top corners. Going to have to find a way to build up some strength there. Let me know what your thought process is, though, down below in the comment section. Help us catch our Knicks Now channel. Let me brag, at least for one day, that Seahawks is greater than our Knicks channel here at Chat Sports. We're closing in. We're within 200, essentially. Come on in, hit that sub button. Thank you guys so much for viewing today's video, and I can't wait to see you next time.